Welcome and thank you for joining us today for this presentation. OriGen Biomedical entered the market approximately 20 years ago with single-use disposables for cell culture and cryopreservation of stem cells, and has a long-standing reputation for providing high-quality products. This includes a variety of products and accessories used in the processing of cells and tissues. For me, part of what makes OriGen a great partner is our ability to adapt our products to the unique and evolving needs of the industries we serve. And hello again, my name is Dave Miller. I'm the Senior Manager of Sales. Came on board at OriGen about 2.5 years ago. I started my career almost 30 years ago in the clinical lab, transitioned to cell processing labs for several years, eventually into laboratory management, and for the last 15 years, primarily in business development, working with tool providers to the stem cell and biobanking industries. I think this background has provided me with a unique view from both sides of the bench. When it comes to the challenges that we are faced with today of creating and sourcing effective and efficient single-use disposable products needed in the industry. Joined today by Nathan Thompson, our Director of Engineering. Nathan.
Thanks, Dave. Like Dave said, I'm Nate Thompson. I'm the Director of Engineering here at OriGen Biomedical. I joined OriGen a little over 12 years ago, right after receiving my degree in biomedical engineering, which coincidentally included a product design project with OriGen. They partnered with my university. I spent the first 6 to 7 years of my career focused primarily on product development at OriGen, and that included work on more than 100 variant development projects, similar to what we're going to cover today. Currently at OriGen, I oversee the entire engineering department, which includes process manufacturing engineering and also includes a team of design and development engineers who are ready to solve our customers' problems with some innovative product designs. As Dave mentioned previously, OriGen has a suite of on-market single-use disposable product lines available with a variety of designs that are already ready for manufacture. But what happens when one of these existing designs does not precisely fit your organization's protocols? That's where our customer-driven product development process steps in. This results in a variation of an existing OriGen product that is more ideally suited for your organization's processes. Our team of engineers can adapt our product lines to better fit your organization's protocols so that you don't have to adapt your protocols to fit our products. The end result of this is essentially a variant of an OriGen product. This may be a Permalife bag, like is seen here, that has tubing on it so that it fits closed system processing. Or it could be a multi-bag set of CryoStor bags to make filling multiple bags a little easier and more seamless. OriGen is here to create a product that completely fits your needs through our development process. So Dave, can you share a bit more with the customers of when this process might be recommended?
Sure, Nathan. I'm going to show my age here, but it's a long time ago in the laboratory, we used to build our own and sterilize our own elutriation sets. We may not be doing that anymore, but the problems are similar in this evolving, market workplace with cell and gene therapy products. It's very often that you might have a unique need for a particular terminal fitting, a length of tubing, pump tubing, a manifold, multiple bags connected to one source bag, or have a waste bag connected to multiple bags, material needs, the ability to sterile weld, integration of automated equipment. These are a few examples, and the list continues to grow as the industry evolves. What I think is neat, I guess, impressive, is that essentially what we're doing in this process is we're identifying a pain point and a problem, and then working collaboratively with you to solve these problems by creating the right tool. Obviously, this is a stepwise process, and it begins with the client concept. Now, this could be through a conversation with an account manager, where the back and forth is about a product that we might have available, but it isn't just quite right, or a new process that there isn't a product that fits well with. On other occasions, we, because of our reputation, company will come to us and say, we have this pain point, this problem. Can you possibly help us solve it through your development process? The account managers that are in the field working with all of you, they have considerable practical experience. So, another thing we ask them to do is to be really good listeners and to understand when we're trying to maybe put a square peg into a round hole, and can then shift the conversation to what would really work most effectively for you. And then this basic concept is born out of those conversations, and that is then brought internally, which initiates the process of getting our development engineers involved.
Right. And once an engineer is involved, they take this unmet need, this pain point, and they try to turn it into a customer requirement. And that is a lot of asking the question, why? Why do you need this feature? We want to know what the actual underlying requirement is so that we can take that requirement and turn it into design inputs. So first stage of our process internally is to get a robust list of requirements, understand the why, develop the design inputs. This also includes an assessment of regulatory requirements. So we want to ensure that our design process accounts for all variables, including an ever-changing regulatory environment. Once the engineer has their essentially a concept of a design, that is then evaluated internally for feasibility. So our OriGen development team gets together, we take a look and ensure that it fits within our current wheelhouse and that we can manufacture and meet the customer needs. Once the project is greenlit, we will inform the customer of next steps. A greenlit project then turns into a proposal. Proposal includes typically a technical drawing. Almost all of our products will have a technical drawing they're associated with. Cost of goods, we'll go through and prepare an entire bill of materials, price everything out, provide the customer a formal quote, and then also include lead times for manufacture. We have standard lead times that we like to meet, but some projects, depending on scale and complexity, might result in some differing lead times. The next and almost into the stage, we find that through our development process, physical handling of new designs often reveals opportunities for improvement and product refinement. So OriGen will create sterile or non-sterile samples for the customer and the user to actually handle hands-on. This will provide them an opportunity to give us feedback on how the design could be further improved. And we'll take that, continue to iterate our designs, and come up with a final product. Once the samples are reviewed, once the product has been agreed to, we move to finalization. This includes releasing of drawings internally, holding of design reviews, and then ultimately placing the product into our manufacturing schedule. As I mentioned previously, we have a standard goal of a 12-week delivery after the receipt of the purchase order. And we really strive to achieve that goal. Next in this presentation, we'll let Dave get started on we'll start talking about an actual design and development project that we achieved here at OriGen a couple years ago.
As you can see, the project we're going to be talking about is what eventually became known as CS50 V7. This is an 11-bag multi-bag set that has 10 CS50 bags and one larger CryoStor 750 bag. OriGen has participated in developing and manufacturing multi-bag sets that allow for efficiencies when filling final cryopreservation bags, can keep the system closed or functionally closed. In this particular case, a research facility approached our account manager with a unique problem. They were filling up to 10 bags at a time and wanted one set delivery. And they provided us with a sketch that kind of kicked off this development. I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, Nathan, it was actually on the back of a napkin.
It's actually on a napkin.
Actually on a napkin. Then conceptual design fed into our dev process. Nathan?
Yeah. So coincidentally, I was one of the engineers, design engineers on the actual file, so I can speak with direct experience here. But the set was pretty complicated when it came to us. And we could tell when the engineering team got a hold of it that they had a litany of unmet needs. And so we began working with them, started over email, and we met with the customer over phone, actually on site once with the customer to really start fleshing out what their actual needs were. Went round and round, and we finally came up with really a final drawing of what I'll call the Rev 0A version of this set. But the initial process took quite a bit of back and forth to really understand what it was that they were after with their design.
In that back and forth and that assessment, do you take kind of the drawing, the napkin drawing, and you try to make that, or how does engineering work to possibly identify engineering updates, upgrades, improvements that might actually take it from their conceptual design to something maybe they didn't even think of that would be even more efficient?
Right. Yeah, I think what stood out for the engineering team at first is their original design had terminated with a sterilizing filter. It was a 0.2 micron filter at the end of the 10 bag set. We didn't have an understanding of why. We knew that they were not attempting to sterilize fluid going into the bag, and we also knew the bags were being delivered sterile. So the filter stood out to our design team. We began to ask why. Come to find out, they were going to use that filter to aid in purging air from the tube set. So that all of the tubing as delivered has some residual air in it. As they're putting blood into the bags, they want to purge air from there out of the bag set, and they were going to pass it through the sterilizing filter. Ultimately, through some actual sample manufacturer that incorporated a filter, the user in OriGen determined that it was a subpar design choice because the filter would wet itself and then no longer would allow air to purge. So ultimately, OriGen Engineering recommended using just a really large cryostore bag to be ultimately an air purge bag, so that they could very easily purge air from their line, but didn't have to worry about wetting a filter and then having their set not work and process. It ended up also being a very cost-effective solution and an easier solution for OriGen to deliver.
Any other specific things you recall about that project, Nathan, with regards to other optimization that you might have been brought in through that dev process by your engineers?
Yeah, certainly. The original design had pinch clamps everywhere. Between every bag, there was pinch clamps, and a lot of that was so that the user could direct flow. You can pinch off a bag so you don't fill that bag, and you can fill the bag before it. But pinch clamps can be a little bulky. So we were trying to work through where to place pinch clamps, making tubing longer to accommodate pinch clamps. And one thing the customer noted to us is that if you put a pinch clamp close to the bag, it made it very challenging for them to tube seal close to the bag right prior to freezing. And OriGen recommends that you seal your donor tubing as close to the bag as possible. So rather than remove the pinch clamps, because clamping lines was necessary, OriGen actually identified a slide clamp, which is a much narrower clamp that can be moved over the tubing and close the tubing off, but also moved out of the way of a tube sealer. So we were able to actually reduce the length of tubing, so we had a lot less cell loss, still provide a design that met their need of being able to close off tubing and also allow for them to seal off the bag. So it was kind of a win-win all the way around. Ultimately, once pinch clamps and tube lengths and everything was optimized, we ended up with a final design that is now known as the CS50V7 and has been formally incorporated into the OriGen CryoStore product line. This set was developed about 4 years ago, and the original customer had a ton of success with the product. And continues to have success with it. Dave, do you know if any other customers have found success with it?
Yeah. That it's now being used in multiple applications, including a few cell therapies that are approaching commercialization. It's a source of pride for OriGen, for sure. Anytime we're able to even have a bit part partnering and helping these companies that are creating, life-saving products to allow for efficiencies, maintaining closed systems. I mean, it's a big deal for us and for all the staff at OriGen. We share that internally. We take a lot of pride in that.
Great.
I think we look at the CS50V7, Nathan, and we can, maybe it's a little bit of a stretch, but you could call it a semi-automated system. We know, there's a lot of movement and evolution in the industry to automated platforms. We get approached. I don't want to say regularly, but it's been several times where I've been on meetings where there's an automated platform trying to integrate with a manual system, and one of the sticking points is we have a validated materials and methods. And for our purposes for this presentation, we're talking about they're using the CryoStore bag, but they want to automate. They want to keep using the CryoStore bag. Can you talk a little bit about how this development process could be brought to bear for that kind of a problem?
Absolutely. We've actually brought it to bear already. In several cases, we've worked with integrators that already exist to create bag sets for automated platforms and have some that are already on market. We've also offered bulk non-sterile cryostore bags. We could offer bulk non-sterile of a variety of our products to be used in further manufacturing for different integrators or automation organizations. So this same customer-driven development process that we use to create variants of our cryostore and PermaLife product lines can also be used to manufacture the right set for whatever equipment or automated process that a customer has.
Awesome. Yeah, certainly the right tool makes all the difference, right?
Right.
I've certainly used a coin or a pocket knife to tighten a screw in a pinch. Or I think anybody that has done something like that and used a tool that wasn't quite right recognizes that a better option must exist and probably should exist if it doesn't. And I think, that's the gap we're trying to fill. That's the problem we're trying to solve. So I hope, if you recognize that you don't quite have the right tool, that you contact OriGen, collaborate with us on products that might be a better fit for your projects. We look forward to working with you in the future. And thank you on behalf of OriGen and Nathan and myself for listening.
Thanks.